My wife passed away in '99, and after watching her die a slow, painful death for a year, it sort of devastated me. I walked back into my home and it was empty. I sort of fell into addiction, and I was just numbing myself.
I hitchhiked up here just after Expo, '86. And at that time I was living outdoors. I got into cocaine because I was living in the downtown east side. People introduced me into that.
Although my husband and I were together and we were married, my husband was Alberta-based with his work. And the children and I lived in Creston, BC on an acreage, and he did as well, but he commuted every 2 weeks home. And so I didn't realize he was drinking. And needless to say, it ultimately killed him. He was impaired the day he was riding his bike. I turned, of course, to all I knew to cope, which was drugs and alcohol. I ended up getting in trouble with the law. I ended up in the sex trade. I ended up homeless. I ended up pretty much losing everything. I had to send my sons back to their grandmother in Edmonton because I couldn't look after them.
It's not very dry right now, but it used to be. 11 years under that tree, and that tree. Long time. I don't miss it.
This here is one of those spots where I sheltered myself. I had some umbrellas, I'd tie them together, and I could back into this bike rack and I'd be sheltered from the rain.
So finally I couldn't stand this tug of war I was having with myself anymore, so I got down on my hands and knees and I prayed for the desire and the willingness to want to get my life back on track. I had the willingness, but I think it was the fear that my children were grown and gone. I was single, my husband was gone.
To stay in the shelter and bus out here became problematic, so I started camping out here. In my last 2 years on the street, I was living right here. Until one day I went to go to work and I couldn't. I had pneumonia, and the officer phoned the ambulance and they hospitalized me right away. And that was my end of the streets.
I found out through a woman by the name of Penny. Actually, she's up there. I got a picture of her. She's at a community center in the west end, up, where would that be? Jericho, Kitsilano, that area. And she told me about it years and years ago. And then one day they, came for an interview at Candela, and Tom interviewed myself and Step and 10 or 11 of us other ones. We were the only two that got accepted, and I'm happy to be here.
It's sort of given me a life in a different direction than what I had before. It's nice because I'm from a small town in Ontario, where I grew up. And this building and the way the community is, it's like my family.
There's things that go on in this place that I've never seen in any other building. Like, you have barbecues, Easter, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinners. This is the best place I've ever had in my life. It feels like a good place to be. It's a safe house, basically.
I've done more with my life in 3 years than I've done all my life. And More Than Roof Housing Society is such a big part of that, because although it took different agencies for me to get here, whether it be the penal system or the recovery homes or the treatment centers, but it's stable housing. I mean, our home is our haven.
People have to get away from the drug dealers. They have to get away from the horrors of that life to start feeling better about themselves. If you take addicts and you put them in a place where they can be safe, around them is recovery.
It's funny, I got thinking the other day as to why I have so much peace in my life today that I've never had before, and I have had money in my life before, and the nice cars and the nice homes and the handsome husband, and I just never felt quite at peace like I do now. And I think the answer that I come up with is because I'm living the way God intends me to live.
To think as I turn around, surveying my apartment, that this is now my home, sending a feeling of relief surge through me like it was washing away my past. As the sun came through the window, it was like a golden beam sending sent from the heavens, warming my cold hard heart, awakening feelings long suppressed. For more years than I really want to count, I lived a life as a homeless addict, walking as a ghost through life. Only after I admitted who I was and asked for help from what I had become, could I be offered this place I now call home. Today I really love to see the smile that radiates back at me from my reflection.